Doesn't it feel good to have the Traitors UK back on TV, guys? And this time, it's the celebrity version. And I know a lot of people were concerned. Was it going to work with celebrities? Was it going to work with them all knowing each other already? I'm here to tell you it's definitely going to work. And the way that they have set this up is going to be absolutely spectacular. So if you're excited for me to talk about all things Traitors for the next couple of weeks, then make sure you subscribe, make sure you tune in, and make sure to keep on watching. So let us get into our very, very first episode, review, recap, everything. I'm super excited, as you can tell. Let's go. As I said in the introduction, everybody kind of knows each other or knows of each other. Everybody is kind of aware of each other in some kind of sense. So it makes the introduction so much less awkward. There's no get to know you sections because these people should already be known to the majority of the viewing public. I have to say, this cast of 19 people might be one of the best casts of celebrities that I've ever seen on a reality show. It genuinely surprised me how many people I knew, and I think I didn't know like one or two people, and that was it. Everybody else I knew or I loved, and it was one of those feelings of like, oh, you know this is going to be a legendary season of television. I mean, when it started with Stephen Fry just standing in the middle of a road in Scotland looking at a bit of paper, I was like, yeah, this is incredible. And then a car containing Joe Marler, a rugby player, and Celia Imrie, national treasure, just rocked up and picked him up and went, oh, hop in, Stephen. You just know it's campy, you know it's fun, you know it's exciting. And it's amazing that this caliber of celebrity are wanting to do this show, and it's the kind of show that would be able to bring in a lot of very famous people just because they're like, hey, I fancy playing the Traitors, why not? Especially with Claudia Winkleman, why not? When they all rocked up, saw Claudia and went, hello, Claudia. These are people that know Claudia in real life, and she's there like, I have to play the role of king or queen of the castle. I was thinking about Alan Cumming. Alan Cumming's king of the castle. She's queen of the castle. Either way, it was so much fun and it was so exciting to watch. So they ended up driving to the castle and then to a graveyard, which was kind of crazy. And then Claudia was like, hey, come into the graveyard, people. Come in. And they're all dressed in like their finest outfits because they thought they were going straight into the castle. No. Claudia's like, get in them graves and dig your own graves, please. Dig it up. Get in there. There's a shield in there. The first 6 people to find a shield, safe from murder. Safe, okay, off the bat. Before we even decided the Traitors, you're safe. And I feel like that's a good way to give the celebrity some kind of incentive to actually throw themselves into this situation. Do you know what I mean? Very, very much the opposite of the civilian version where they can take the piss with eliminating people straight away. They can't really do that with the celebrities because they want to make sure that they get the most out of everybody whilst they're in the game because they've had to pay probably a decent amount of money for them. So I don't mind that this game got started a little bit slower than usual because it got us more time with people and it set up a very interesting dynamic from the get-go. So either way, the people who managed to get the shields were Jonathan Ross, Joe Marler, Joe Wilkinson, Kate Garraway, Charlotte Church, and Celia Imrie, with the help of Nick Mohammed. So really, really great lineup of people who are safe off the bat. Great work. I was very happy. The fact that Jonathan Ross got his immediately, I was like, bro, clearly wanted to stay in the game a lot longer than he thought. But it was just such a great start to the episode and really sort of helped kickstart what is set to be a great series. So let's talk about who are the actual traitors. We've got Jonathan Ross, who is, if you don't know him, a Graham Norton sort of chat show host. And he's very, very famous in the UK for his chat shows. He hosts a lot of stuff. I'm fairly certain he hosts like our Oscars show that we do in the UK on ITV. He's basically a very, very famous host. So immediately I knew we were in safe hands with him being a traitor because he's got that evil glint in his eye. I mean, he literally said in his interview with Claudia, I've always wanted to murder a celebrity. Then we've got Kat Burns. Kat Burns said that she's neurodivergent, so she immediately views this as just a game. And I was like, me too. That's how I view it. Questioning? Maybe. But either way, I like her vibe. She's got a very sort of like, oh, I can play innocent and sweet when I want to, but actually I'm stabbing you in the back from behind kind of vibe. And I like that. I like the fact that immediately I see that glint in her eye that makes me go, you could go far in this game by just being an innocent person. And then Alan Carr. Oh God, guys. Oh God, Alan Carr being a traitor is the best and the worst thing to ever happen to me, because he literally said it himself, I'm gonna be worse than Linda. And that made me chuckle, because not only is that a reference to UK season 3, but it means that bro has actually watched the seasons and knows he's gonna be dreadful. Oh my God. I think he's going to go one of two ways. Either he's going to be the first traitor found out, it's going to be very obvious, he's going to crumble under the pressure immediately, or he's going to keep on passing it off as, haha, I'm a traitor, guys. He. And no one's going to believe him because they just know he's a funny person and he's probably just bantering with them, but he's actually being real, and that's how he gets his nervous ticks out. But either way, what a great lineup of traitors. I'm so excited to see how this turns out, and wow, just wow. So immediately, people's suspicions are starting to fly around. I mean, Claire Balding and Charlotte Church thought that Kate Garraway was potentially overdoing it around the round table at the start. That could have potentially been something suspicious. Alan Carr was talking to Paloma Faith, and Paloma was like, oh, look at those two up at the bar talking about Celia Imrie and Claire Balding, basically like, oh, they could be traitors. And Alan was like, oh, I think they are traitors. Oh. And then obviously got in Joe Wilkinson and Tom Daly, and it was just like a really funny moment of like, oh, they could be traitors. And then you had Nico and Ruth looking at the pictures and being like, oh, should we form an alliance? There's definitely a younger traitor out there. It's not me. I don't think it's you. So who could it be? Just interesting little pockets of groups that are starting to draw attention to other people. Do you know what I mean? Immediately, everybody's getting it wrong, but everybody does get it wrong at the start. It's very, very rare that people are bang on immediately, it's this person. And if they do that, usually it's luck. There's very rarely a moment of like, oh yeah, apart from last series with Jake calling out Linda when she turned on traitors. Like, come on, Linda. That was like, that was basic. That was basic. Oh, that's a shame. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about in this little section was Kate doing some form of like lie detector test on both Joe Marler and Kat Burns, and realizing that, maybe I can't tell whether people are lying or not, which was quite funny. I do like Kate Garraway. I think a lot of people give her a lot of flack, but I think she's a really, really lovely person. She's very entertaining, and I personally get on with her very, very well. Not that I know her in person, but like, she was on I'm a Celebrity before COVID, and I really loved her on that, and she came fourth, so icon if you ask me. Some other little suspicions were Stephen saying that he's potentially suspecting Tom and Nico straight off the bat. I thought Stephen was going to be very, very good at this game, but I have a feeling that he actually might be schooled a little bit. If he's not out within the first couple of roundtable murders, it might be because he just isn't that good at this game. But I'm hoping that he starts to pick up on mannerisms and behaviours and things like that, because Stephen Fry is a sensational name to have on your television show, especially a reality television show. Like, it's just unbelievable that they managed to get him on here. I mean, Celia Imrie as well, to be honest. That's like, it's like getting Helen Mirren on here. Do you know what I mean? It's just absolutely sensational. And then Mark Bonner was saying that Tamika Empson was changing her behaviour slightly from how she was before the round table when they got picked. So, again, wrong and strong, but equally, you gotta put somebody's name out there. So, the challenge for today, the mission, was incredibly entertaining, and it reminds me that like the traitors missions can actually be good if they're worked well. Do you know what I mean? If they're done with a good incentive in mind. It's not just, oh, we're winning money. There's extra caveats that make people look suspicious. There's extra things in there that will make people question others' intentions. Season 3 really, really rode that line well and managed to make the missions must-watch television. But I'm also excited to see how they develop it for this series as well. So let's just talk about it. They had to drag a Trojan horse up the hill. Bless them, Stephen Fry and Celia Imrie. They were doing their best. They are like 68 and 73 respectively. So they were doing well, and they were all having to drag it up the hill, but there were certain checkpoints that they had to get to. The first checkpoint was a quiz question that was basically like, how many people combined died in Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet? And I was sitting there and I was counting and I was like, okay, well, I think 5 people died in Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet. There was this. And then all of a sudden, Claire Borden's like, cha-ching! And locked them out of the question. And I was like, what? Did you not read the instructions, bestie? They kept on cutting to a shot of it saying, once you pull this lever, you can't redo the question. So Claire Balding just fucked them off the get-go. And then was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh no. And everyone's looking at her like, Claire, bestie, what are you doing here? What are you doing? And Tom in his confessional was like, I think the traitor's got a mission last night in the turret to sabotage this mission and get people to spend shields. Because what happened was, if you failed the puzzle, the only other way to unlock the door was if you gave up one of the 6 shields that was won the day before. So I was sitting there and I was like, ooh, okay, this is what I was talking about by there being some interesting caveat that makes people look suspicious, because a traitor would sabotage the puzzle so that one of the other faithful didn't have a shield. Fortunately, Charlotte Church gave up hers rather quickly, but again, is that suspicious? People are sitting there thinking, ooh, is that a suspicious move? Would I give up my shield if I was a faithful, or if I was a traitor and I just wanted to get through and get the money, would I just give it up because I know that I'm safe tonight? These are the things you got to think about. The second one was a Klotsky puzzle. I think that's what they're called. The ones where you have to like move around the shape to slide a puzzle out. And Nick Mohammed did it like within seconds. Everyone was struggling with it. And then Nick Mohammed was like, everybody stand back. Done. And I was like, excuse me? How quickly did you do that? That was not okay. I don't like how quickly you did that. That was a little bit too fast for my liking. Then the third one was a word puzzle. And at first I was sort of like, oh, I have no idea what it was. I was just thinking about what the words related to each other. But then when somebody pointed out that some of the words contained letters that were within the word traitors, I was like, oh, of course it is. You got to think about what show you're on. Of course they're going to make it traitors themed. So yeah, that was good. And then the last puzzle was to do with the symbols that was on the previous gates. And Tom Daly, fortunately, had been memorising them as he went along, but he'd forgotten to memorise the second one. So he had to run all the way back. And he was like, running. And he managed to like shout it up a chain, and they managed to get through and make it to the end. But like, I would not have thought to remember those symbols. I really wouldn't have. And seemingly nobody else did either. I was very, very impressed, I have to say. I did really, really enjoy this mission. It felt energized. It felt like exciting. It felt like it was coming down to the wire and you didn't know whether they were actually going to make it or not. It also helps having Claudia Winkleman on a hill shouting, come on, because it just makes you feel like you can do anything. I don't know what it is about her, but she really does just put the vim and vigor into you. Do you know what I mean? Like, really makes you want to do well. So yeah, the mission was really, really good. It was really exciting. They did manage to make $15,000, no, pounds, with only 1 shield lost. So you got to hand it to them. They did do a fantastic job. So there's a reason I haven't talked about the turret just yet. And that's because it kind of ties into what I'm going to talk about with the end of the episode. Because they were told that they had to murder in plain sight. But before I get to that, we got to talk about the cinematic moment of Alan looking like Bald Kerry from Big Brother UK and walking into the turret, and everybody pissing themselves laughing at the fact he's a traitor. Everybody wetting themselves. The production, you knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing by making him a traitor, and I love that for you guys. I love it, because not only have you kind of set him up to fail, but you've also created some fantastic television. Because what do you mean I had to watch Alan Carr rubbing a plant's pollen? What are we doing here? Like, actually, what are we doing here? This is crazy. effectively, the idea was there is a lily of death in the bar, and they had to rub the pollen of the lily and then rub the face of the person they wanted to kill. And obviously, immediately, both Kat and Jonathan went, we have to get Alan to do it. He's the only one that's going to be able to do it, and it's not going to be creepy. And I just thought, oh, God, here we go. Here we go, lads. Here we go. It's also a slow-acting poison, so that means that they're not going to die tonight. They're going to be in the next episode, and they'll probably die throughout the day or something like that. So again, this is the show making sure that they get the most out of these celebrities. They're not just killing somebody off and wasting their potential on day one. They're making sure that they're in the game at least for 1, 2, 3 days, which is actually quite good, to be fair. And I have no problem with that, because it's not like it's stalling the episodes. It's still giving us the same drama, the same, like, high and low moments. We've still had a murder at the end of the episode, leading us to guess who's going to go next time. And I have to say, I am excited to see where this goes. The show itself is in a very, very good position currently. It's got a 4th season to go next season, and with the Celebrity series, there is a potential to have this at least once, or maybe once every 2 years. I preferably would like once a year. I like the fact that we get 2 seasons a year of it. I don't think it necessarily would fatigue me, because they're only short seasons. It's not like it's 2 Big Brother series a year and I'm committing to 7 weeks of 6 episodes, and it's not like Love Island where that's even worse. But the fact that this one is, I think, 9 episodes long, the normal one is 12 episodes long, so the fact that we would get that amount of episodes a year, I would be fine with personally. I don't think it would lower the quality, as long as they kept up that quality. Do you know what I mean? I also wouldn't be mad at them just using the same twists from the previous version for the Celebrity version. Do you know what I mean? Having the same missions and things like that, but making sure that it's fresh and exciting for the new group, so they didn't have to do as much work, but it was still exciting. And maybe film the Celebrity and the Civilian series back to back, so that it doesn't impede on their time or something like that. But either way, this is a great cast. This is a great set of traitors, and the faithful so far seem clueless. I don't know whether it's just the edit or whether they actually don't know who the traitors are, but nobody said Jonathan Ross, nobody said Cat Burns, and nobody said Alan Carr is a traitor yet, which is the most ludicrous to me, if I'm being 100% honest. And there were just so many other great moments, like Jonathan and Alan both saying to each other, see you upstairs tonight, not knowing that each other was actually the traitor. Amazing television. This is going to be a legendary season of television, and I'm so unbelievably excited to jump into it. Sorry this episode isn't much longer. I've got 2 pages of notes, but they were mostly just hitting the key notes. Once we actually get into the game, that's when I'll be able to break down who's playing the best game, who's playing a bad game, who's going home. Who do I think he's going to kill? I have a feeling based on the edit it's going to be Ruth, but I also think that potentially it could be Claire, it could be... I don't think it would be Kate, but again, it could be. I think there are some people, maybe Lucy Beaumont, she didn't get much of an edit in this episode. And there are some people that I'm also like, Charlotte Church, is she going to go home straight away because she doesn't have a shield? But then I would want to keep her in and be like, they actively knew you didn't have a shield and they still didn't kill you. Could you be a traitor? That would be my thinking. But I think Alan's just going to have to go for whoever he can put his hands on. Do you know what I mean? Whoever he can touch the face of, he's going to get. So it's going to be the Ekin-Su of the series. And then Jonathan Ross is going to come down and be like, oh God, no, not Celia Imrie. Oh God, not Celia Imrie. Imagine if Celia Imrie goes home first. You couldn't do that to her, could you? Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be. But until then, make sure to keep on ranting, and I'll see you guys later. Bye now. See ya.